I don't get it. What makes it better than any of the other bowls? Super Bowl, right. And that's something your least favorite coworker probably said to you today. If you're listening to this, right, it's that coworker that doesn't really follow sports. So when people ask them, "Oh, did you watch?" They say, "Oh, no, I don't know much about football. I know they go throw it around and they pay them millions of dollars, right? But I gotta ask, what makes that bowl so super, right? Does it have a cape?" And that's the end of that conversation. It should be, at least. They should cut him off there, right? Play the music to make that man get off stage. Because what is that? It's a performance, and no one wants to see it. But I made the decision, the hard decision, to watch the Super Bowl this weekend. I know. Earlier this week, my mom asked me, she was like, "Are you going to watch it?" I was like, "I don't know. Maybe." If anything, I'm more looking forward to watching Luka play on the Lakers for the first time. And he was supposed to on Saturday, but he didn't. So it's apparently happening today, Monday. So maybe I'll tune into that. But the Super Bowl, I don't know. I'm not that invested in it, right? I don't really have any stake because I don't really watch football. But then I thought about it more and the weekend progressed and I was like, oh, it'd be fun to watch, right? And plus this week it'll be a big point of conversation, right? All people, all adults, they're going to be talking about it in some capacity, right? Certain people have different angles. You got the game crowd, you got the halftime crowd, you got the commercial crowd. Like, oh, did you see they're coming out with a live action Lilo and Stitch? That's fun. See, I can be part of that conversation. I can be part of the conversation that discusses the imagery of Kendrick's halftime performance, and I can talk to the people that love football. Because I understand football for the most part. I think I understand the football at a general, right? In a general way. Like I can see it and I understand the flow of the game. I'm like, I get why things are happening. I'm not going to be that person at the movie like, who's that? Wait, so why are they there? Shut up. Just watch it. It'll all make sense. So after the first quarter, is there another one? Yes. What? Even if you don't watch football, why are you asking me these questions? But then there's like little stuff, sure, I don't know, right? Like if you go and nut tap the coach, right? What happens? You get like a 5 yard penalty. The coach has to step back 5 yards because it's the coach's fault. Why were they so close to the game to be in the position to get nut tapped, right? It's little stuff like that I don't understand. But 4 downs, I get that, right? You try it 3 times and then it's a bit risky if you want to do the fourth because then, right? You get it. You understand football. So I decided to tune in, right? Expose myself to that because it's going to be a big part of the next week culturally. Maybe the next 2 days. Things move very fast nowadays. I think 10 years ago, if you watched the Super Bowl, it had staying power for about a week, right? It was a conversation. But I'm sure by the end of Tuesday, we're over this. We're like, yeah, who won? Oh, okay, cool. When's the next season start, by the ways? People will Google like one of two things. Anyone living in Philadelphia will Google, oh, day of the parade. And everyone else is going to Google, when is the next NFL season starting, right? We're already to the next thing. Come on. Get them out there in uniform again. What happened to all those teams that didn't make the playoffs? I want to see them again. Go on, get them out there. And that made me think of something. As I was watching this episode, I'll do a little breakdown of what I was thinking throughout the experience of watching the Super Bowl. One thing I thought about every time I saw someone get hit, I was like, oh, that would probably take me out for a good 4 months. Like it would take about 4 months, right? To start to feel better. And then maybe 6 months I'd be fully healed. But play after play, these guys are getting trucked. And I remember there was one player, I think he talked about how an NFL game feels like going through multiple car crashes. And then you spend a week practicing, healing, getting stronger, and you do it again the next week. That's crazy. And I saw, right? These are people with bodies and, a build that's able to take that kind of damage. I don't think I have that. I saw people get hit. I'm like, oh, that would, yeah. I think at the right angle, that would probably kill me, wouldn't it? And this isn't a test. This is not a slight against myself. It's just really an appreciation of them. I'm fine as is, right? I think this is actually the optimal build. Sometimes, right, in the past few years, people have suggested to me, you should work out. I think it'd be good. I'm like, well, okay. Do you say this to everyone? They're like, no, just you. I'm like, oh, so there was something about me that conjured up that idea. And then you were bold enough to say it out loud. And here we are. So tell me, what was the inspo? Why did you give me this suggestion? They're like, no, it's just good. It's good to stay fit. And I've come to the conclusion that I don't think it's a good idea. I think I have a thing going, right? An aesthetic, and I think not working out fits into that aesthetic. I need to look like this. Because if I was like built or like fit, that wouldn't look good, right? No one would, I would be looked at in a way I wouldn't want to be looked at as. I don't think it works for me, right? As a person, I don't have fit energy. I don't have ripped energy, right? It would look like I'm wearing a muscle suit. That's not good. Gauruv, you really think you could get to that point? I'm saying that's why I'm not even going to attempt. I'm really saving us all time and money. I'm a man of the people. I'm altruistic is what it is. And during the Super Bowl, right, there were commercials. When I was younger, this was always a main reason for watching, because kids, they don't really get football unless their household watches it or they somehow happen upon it. Kids don't really watch football. That's wrong, Gauruv. What do you think all those jersey sales are coming from, right? You think that's adults? Well, yeah. But I'm not being obtuse, right? I know that kids watch this stuff. I'm not saying that no kids watch it. I'm just saying that not every kid watches these sports. I feel like when you get older, right, you're trying to scramble. You're trying to pick and just pull any hobby you can find. And I feel like casually observing sports is a really easy one to adopt into your personality. Because, yeah, it's just like a few days a week commitment. And then you get to talk to other people that like this stuff. And then suddenly, oh, you have friends, right? It's a really easy in. It's not like rock climbing or bouldering where, yeah, you need equipment, or even, snow skiing. That puts you in another tax bracket, right? You're trying to be in a new friend bracket. Well, that's even going to come at a cost. So I'm saying that, yeah, this one, pretty much, you can flip on a TV and there might be a game playing. Now, you will probably have to have the right streaming service, right? Because we had cable TV made of a bunch of channels, and we've dismantled that, thank God. But now we have all these streaming services, which are just the channels again, but you got to pay for them. And even finding out where to watch the Super Bowl, that was kind of a weird thing for me. I didn't know how to see where it was going to be at. I was just searching, right, on my TV. This little section said live TV. I'm like, it's got to be in there, right? I mean, we all watch this thing. There's no way it's not just playing, right? So I found it, and it was in Spanish. So I was like, okay, this isn't... I'm not brushed up enough on my Spanish. I don't think I can watch this. So I was like, fine, I'll Google it. Where do you watch the Super Bowl? This feels ridiculous to even have to ask, but I was like, let me do it. And, I skipped past the AI overview, and I clicked the first non-sponsored link, and I was like, oh, okay. So you can watch it on Fox or Tubi or Fubo. I'm like, oh my God, it's happening. There's this tweet or like some post someone did on social media where they're like, damn, I'm sick and tired of saying, oh yeah, you can watch it on Tubi or Fifi or Tubo or Cece. Like, shut the fuck up. You guys gotta stop making up these bullshit ass names. And then Tubi, I didn't have Tubi, so I had to download it. And then when you open it up, it's like, can I have your birthday, your name, and your email address so I know it's you? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And they just asked me how old I was. I put 21. But my camera was on. They were like, not with that face, you're 21. I'm like, all right, fine. I'm 26. They're like, that sounds good. And I was like, okay, hurry up so I can enter my birthday and name so I can check if this actually works. And they're like, oh no, that's all. That's all we needed. So yeah, I just had to tell them I'm 26. And they're like, yeah, okay, here you go. Here's the Super Bowl. So I got to watch it there on Tubi. To be or not to be? That is the question. If you're trying to watch the Super Bowl. Because on Tubi is where I watched it. And this is also another reason, right, that things have changed so much in the past few years. I feel like when you were younger, commercials were the big thing. Because things lasted a while, right? You would see Puppy Baby Monkey or whatever the fuck it was. And then you would talk about that at school for like a week or two. But now, right, whatever movie Scarlett Johansson or Chris Pratt is in, you're going to see a trailer and be like, oh, that looks cool. And then you forgot it. You don't even remember what movie it is, do you? And One of the movies that I saw was the new Mission Impossible movie, right? Tom Cruise is back at it again. And I saw the trailer and I was like, of course this man is hanging off of a plane. And it made me wonder, I'm like, does he go into the table read? They're like, all right, Tom Cruise, we're doing it again. He's like, sounds good. Here's a script, we're just going to do a once over and then we're going to start filming. He's like, sounds good, yeah. And then he starts flipping. He's like, question. Sorry, don't want to redline anything, mark this thing up quite yet, but I'm just wondering, where's the plane scene? I'm not saying a plane scene here. So if you just clarify. Oh, Tom, we're not actually gonna. Did your agent not tell you? Yeah, we're not doing a plane scene in this one. He's like, oh, okay, find someone else, okay? Because I'm not doing this shit. This is bullshit. I need to be hanging off of a plane if we're gonna do this goddamn movie. That's the whole reason I do this shit, okay? I don't even care I don't know what story we're even telling anymore. I just do this for that. I'm rich enough, right? That I could probably buy rent some airspace for a while so I could hang off of a plane. But the regulations, they're too much. This is my guilty pleasure, okay? And the regulations I'm able to bypass through this studio is the reason I do this. So please, write in a fucking plane part or find another guy. We hear you, Tom. No big deal. We'll do it. We'll add in a plane scene. He's like, thank you. And this might be the last one, right? Because the trailer said, join us one last time for the finale of the story. How many one last times has it goddamn been? I'm starting to, no, I don't believe you anymore. This is the last one. It all comes together. All these years led to this moment. Well, yeah. But then there's going to be another moment, right? Because Tom's going to want to hang off of a goddamn plane again. You're not done. Stop saying this shit. He's got plot armor and some wings. But he's not going anywhere, okay? We're going to see this dude next Super Bowl hanging off of some other shit, okay? So enough of that. And then the very next commercial was a Skechers ad with Martha Stewart. And she was busting out some moves. It was an AI Martha Stewart Skechers ad. If you told that to someone 10 years ago, they would probably have an aneurysm. They'd probably seizure up and then fucking die. Because what the fuck does that... What do you mean Martha Stewart is in an AI Skechers commercial? But that's where we are. That's where we are. And it's such fun to see, right? You know what sucks about that, though? Right? Some kid will go to school this week. And he'll genuinely think, damn, Martha Stewart, like, busting some moves. And you're like, yeah, well, that was her computer. They're like, what? Yeah, I mean, it was definitely some next level stuff. If that's what you mean by computer, that's a weird slang we're using. Because computers are kind of old now, right? We're kind of onto a chip that they're going to put in my brain. So they can scan my head and get school lunches. If they pass the bill. If they pass the bill. That'd be funny if they like agreed to give all kids school lunches as long as they chip them, and then you have to use the chip. You go up the line, they're like, yeah, just scan your head. You're like, all right. And they imagine the chip doesn't read, so they're like, oh, just, can you maybe bend down? You know, the taller kids. Yeah, sorry, my bad. You know, just, and then they rip it off the counter. They're like, yeah, let me try to put it to your head. You know, and they just go, start jamming it against kids' head. You're like, oh, yep, go ahead. Go get your reheated frozen pizza and your little smoothie cup that definitely has microplastics in it. And before the game, they panned to all these people, and they were holding pictures of some folks that I think had passed, right? It was an in-memoriam recognition. I don't know who these people were because I had captions off. So that means basically there was no volume playing. And I saw that, you know, they were acknowledging the fires, the plane crashes, and I think these people were something else, maybe? But they had all these framed pictures of people, and they were all normal, right? But there was one photo in particular that stuck out, or stood out, apologies, and it was this guy. And he was like taking like a selfie from this angle, looking serious. I was kind of like a fit check. I think he was wearing like a blue button up shirt and a tie. And it looked very like 2010s selfie era. And I was like, that can't be the best photo you have of him, right? That that feels like you scroll down on his Instagram a lot and you're like, that one, do that one. That looks like a Facebook photo. Why did you use that one to like remember him by? And I feel like there were other pictures that were the same way. There were some people that had like yearbook photo, LinkedIn photo type photos, but then others were like, oh, like disrespectful, right? And I feel like it's probably the family's fault. Haven't they gone through enough, Garv? No, I know. In their defense, right? I'm fighting for them. I feel like there's a better way to remember your deceased loved one than using a shitty ass photo, right? You certainly have better photos. It feels like a choice to go out of your way to be like, yeah, use that one. That one, they didn't even post that one themselves, but I like it. Don't do that. Use a photo they posted recently because that means they co-signed it. Don't look through their camera roll, right? Go to the cloud, see what they have saved, and be like, oh, I like this one. Be respectful, okay? You're still alive. Stop. You have plenty of time to embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass the deceased, okay? Pick a nice photo. That's my comment on that. I saw some empty seats during the Super Bowl, and I know that they aren't actually empty. They're probably like going and getting a drink or whatever, or going to the bathroom. And then that made me think, wait a minute. Probability states that there is someone, right? There are thousands of people in that arena, I would have to guess. Statistically, someone got diarrhea today during the game, right? They probably traveled wherever this game was being held. And then, something they ate on the plane or something they ate in the local area didn't agree with their body, or their body didn't agree with it. And then, yeah, they felt the ramifications of such a decision. And so, yeah, they were camping out at a stall the whole game that they paid thousands of dollars to go to. They pulled up a stat partway through the game that was like, oh, the average cost of a ticket. And it was like between $5,000 to $6,000. I want to say it was like $5,800 or something. And I was like, damn. Imagine if you like spent enough money to buy like a used car just to go to this overpacked stadium and just shit your brains out for like 4 hours straight. That would suck. Sure, you would have a story, but how could you even talk about that and like dress it up, right? Wait, so what's the story again, right? Imagine your family, they introduce you, or they always segue. You ever have people do this where they're like, oh, Garv has a good story. Garv, tell him the story. And you're like, oh, this isn't actually a good story. You just were close enough to where there was enough context for that story to be good. And it was kind of like in the moment thing. I feel like I'm going to have to explain too much for this story to be good. But I can try, I guess. This isn't going to hit the same. I hope you know that. But my friend here has put me in a bad spot because you're not going to, I know you. This isn't a story you want to hear. That's why I haven't told you it. But okay, I'll do it here. I got diarrhea at the Super Bowl. There's not much, right? Not much of a story there. Unlike me that day, I can't keep going and going on about what it was about. Yeah, I showed up. I got a sensation, and the rest is history. I know you can probably build up the story in a nice way, right? Say like, oh yeah, on the plane ride there, they gave me an option of beef or chicken or vegetarian. And I decided, I was going to eat some really good food in the local area. So, you know what? Let me go with the vegetarian option. And so when they gave it to me, it was a spongy consistency that you could only think of in cleaning materials, like cleaning supplies. No food should be that spongy, right? That material, it feels like the bread that they gave you, that's something you would clean a plate that you just ate off of. It doesn't feel like something you should eat, though. So already I was a little suspicious. And then I was like, you know what? Let's still splurge. I'll get a vodka Red Bull, right, to go with this. And I think that's where I went wrong. I think the sponge cake alone, right? They probably wouldn't have done me in, but the mixture of the two, oh, the chemistry there, it was almost as bad as me in chemistry in high school. You guys know I failed, right? So that was a nice little tidbit there. See, you can probably dress it up by saying shit like that, but at the end of the day, you shit your brains out at the Super Bowl. That's always going to be the punchline. So no matter how much you build up to it, I feel like, yeah, there's probably some tension you can build, but the payoff, it's not there. Because you're just going to say, yeah, I win a lot. I win and then I win a lot. And that's it. There's nothing else. I can't give you details about it, right? I'm sure you could. You'd be like, yeah, I was gripping the stall so hard. The guy next to me was like, oh, earthquake going on next to me? You good, brother? You good, bro? Yeah, no, I don't think you can dress it up. But this made me think of it, right? I saw an empty seat. I was like, that could potentially be someone like shitting their brains out. Or the other way, right? It could just be like, I need to shit my brains out and it's stuck. I sincerely hope you're not eating while you're listening to this. I apologize. And then, right, I know ball, right? I know football, but still there's little things you don't know. And I saw that, oh, there's specific players that have like emotes. You know how players, right, they'll touchdown or they'll get a touchdown or they'll like get a sack or a tackle or, you know, receive the ball, right? Get a fucking gnarly catch, and then they'll get tackled, they'll get up, and they'll do some celebration. I thought they were just like generic celebrations. Today, I got to see that some players have like player exclusive emotes. You guys have played Fortnite, right? You know what emotes are? I have to talk. This is how you talk to the younger generation. You guys know about the emotes, right? This is essentially like when millennials talk about emojis. This is like Gen Z talking about emotes in video games. You know, I can't say you guys dance anymore. You guys emote, right? And they're like, yeah, oh yeah, I know what that is, right? You don't get, this is stupid. You don't get, oh, this is fucking dumb. This feels like something that someone working in social media would try to implement and it would just completely miss the mark. Imagine, this is stupid, an out of touch teacher formatting their class as a battle pass and being like, yeah, every week you complete a challenge. Those are your homework assignments. And then every 5 levels, you get an ultimate challenge, which is a test. And then at the end of the week, right? Or at the end of the 10 weeks, at 10 weeks, you get the battle pass unlock, which is credit for this class. It's like, what are we doing? Just not everything has to be something. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyways. But I saw there were 2 players, right? There was a guy named Josh Sweat, and when he like gets a catch or like tackles someone, I forgot if he's offense or defense, but he like wipes his forehead and goes like that. I was like, oh, because of sweat. And there's a guy with the last name Hunt, and he shoots an arrow into the sky. I was like, oh, that's sick because yeah, Sweat and Hunt. That's not interesting. These are. But what is interesting is Trump was at the game. Isn't that weird? Because if I took time off of my job to go to the game, or not even take time off, if I just went to the game while I was supposed to be working, I feel like I would get lambasted by my manager, right? Imagine my manager turns on the game, he sees me standing there during the Star Spangled Banner, he'd be like, hey, what the fuck? I thought you said you were sick. What do you mean? But for some reason he can go. I don't know what's up with that. Double standards, you know? Because his job, right, is 24/7, 365. Well, God, what about the 1 year where there's leap year? Wouldn't it be 366? Well, yes, you're correct, but don't say shit like that, okay? It's unbecoming of you. This is why people don't talk to you when you go to the water cooler, okay? What makes the bowl so super? Shut up. This isn't entertaining, right? The laughs they give you, it's because they're supposed to, okay? Don't use that for approval, right? Sometimes people work a job and they use the behavior of their coworkers to assess themselves. Don't do that. They are there because they're being paid. How they behave towards you is not a reflection on yourself. It's a reflection of their relationship with the job. So don't say that shit. Okay? But Trump, right, for the next 4 years, he's working. So he's going to the game while he's working. What was that? Huh? I just think it's unfair because I would get yelled at, right? If I was throwing down a hot dog in the middle of a workday, that can't be right. And I do wonder, do you think Trump knows who Kendrick Lamar is? Like, do you think he turned to one of his advisors and was like, and which one is this? I know there's so many littles and youngs nowadays. Which one is this? Kendrick Lamar? Oh, okay. Which one is the one I like? Tekashi 69. Oh, yes, yes. I love the supporting Chinese artists. They're like, oh, well, no, that's okay. It's a Japanese reference in his name. And also let's not openly support him. Okay, just keep that one internally. Okay. You can listen to Gummo all you want, but please don't tell people you do that. Just, you have your listening history, right? Your listening activity on Spotify. You have that off. Okay, good. In the social tab. Thank God. Okay. But yes. And which one is this? You said Kendrick Ross. Is that the one? Nope. Okay. See, you mixed them with someone else. That not. It's funny to imagine. Yeah, there were probably a lot of people that were like, I don't know who this is. Because I talked to a guy last week, like he's like in his 40s, and then he was like, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. I'm like, oh yeah, and then the Kendrick halftime show. He's like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, what do you mean? what does that even mean? I don't. That's crazy, man. I don't know. I also feel really sad watching the Super Bowl because it was really fun, right? You saw Jalen Hurts like redemption after losing 2 years ago, and you're like, oh, that's really nice. And whenever I see these championship games, it's always cool to think like, oh, this is what they worked for years, right? And then they get this and they can finally relax. And it's like forever and for the rest of the time, I will be known as a champion, right? That's got to be such a, like, you get this release, right? You are unburdened at that point because you're like, I'm going down in the history books. I could suck ass for the rest of my career, but I'll always have that ring. That's cool. And it's cool because today I'm like, oh, and then tomorrow he doesn't have to work, right? There's this little grace period where he can just chill. I know he'll have to do like press and the parade and media and all this shit, but in terms of football, he doesn't really have to like train or lift weights, right? Do all that shit. He can just give himself a few hours to rest. And I have to say, watching that shit happen on a Sunday night is fucking brutal, right? Because to them, that's like the best Friday ever. And for me, I have Monday tomorrow. That's what feels so shitty about the Super Bowl. Because, yeah, it's like someone that has to go to work next day watching someone have the best Friday ever, right? I know the next 2 days are going to be bliss for him, right? Like a weekend. But I got to wake up in 6 hours, go to work for 8 hours. What the hell? So yeah, I think I'm going to stop watching games altogether. And I swear to God, I'm going to stop watching games if they keep showing these celebrities. Enough of that. I talked to this man last week. He was talking about the Super Bowl, and he doesn't like the Chiefs. No Chiefs. I don't like them. And he was telling me, this is a 48-year-old man, by the way. He was like, I'm not happy about this, about the Super Bowl. He was like, there's two reasons why I don't like the Super Bowl this year. And I was like, okay. I know roughly the amount that this man makes at his job. I don't think he can afford I don't think he can afford therapy. So I was like, I'll hear him out. Go ahead. Why are the two reasons that you hate the Super Bowl? He was like, well, the first reason is because of the Chiefs. I don't like the Chiefs. They're cocky. They need to be knocked down a peg. Okay? They keep getting in there and then being all showboaty, and I don't like it. I'm like, okay, sure. That's a good reason, right? And you mentioned you had a second reason. What was that? The second is because you know that Kelsey, He's dating that Taylor Swift. And they always feel the need to pan to her. What is with that, right? Get her out of there. We don't need that in our sports. I'm like, did she like do something to you? But I agree, right? And so I was on Taylor Watch. I was like, how many times are they going to show her? And I don't know if Tubi is just, doing their own thing, but they only showed her once. But they showed that darned Paul Rudd and Paul McCartney like 4 or 5 times. You've heard of the Les Paul guitars, right? Well, tonight it was sponsored by the More Paul guitars because they kept showing more and more Pauls. And I don't know why they showed them, right? They don't know anything about football. Just like Taylor Swift doesn't know anything about football. That's why they shouldn't show her. And really, it seemed like the Chiefs didn't really know anything about football. So why'd they show them today, huh? I don't think they should televise these games. I think this is an exclusive experience, right? Only if you pay to get into the stadium and watch, I think you guys should have it. I don't think you should show it to us because there's so many casual ball watchers today, right? Dudes in the gym bathrooms, casual ball watchers. Because people are too loosey-goosey with their towels, I tell you what. But this guy also told me, he was like, Taylor, fine, whatever. She's dating Travis. That's okay. But the thing I take issue with, and remember, I didn't say this yet, but this guy has a daughter. And he said, what really irks me about that Taylor Swift is every time they show her, right? I understand she wants to enjoy her time at these games, but every time they show her, she is sipping on a beer. And you got little girls looking up to her, right? Millions of little girls looking up to her. What message does it send if she's drinking a beer? Is she promoting alcohol? That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. You can draw your conclusions. I just think it's a little irresponsible. I was like, man, the whole Super Bowl, Shane Gillis, Post Malone, and Peyton Manning were sucking Bud Light's dick. What do you mean? Every fucking chance they got, it showed Peyton Manning hauling around that skinny-ass cooler full of Bud Light. I felt bad for Peyton Manning. I'm like, clearly his manager made him sign some contract that was like, hey, you don't get to report on this game, okay? You're just going to walk around handing people Bud Lights. But God forbid, Taylor Swift sip on a light draft beer. That's crazy. That's crazy, but I agree. It's enough. It's enough. And so I'm boycotting the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's right. Next year, I'm not watching it. Just like I said, I wasn't going to watch it this year. But I am going to work it into the clause in my contract that says I can watch it if I want to. It's just, I don't know why people get so upset at Taylor Swift. I think it's a proximity thing, right? People hate the Chiefs so much. And now she's attached to it, so they're like, no, you. It's just funny because I know that one guy today, right, a grown-ass adult man, probably with kids, was watching TV, and they showed Paul Rudd, and he was like, ooh, Ant-Man. I like when he gets big next to Tony Stark. That's my favorite. And then they show Taylor Swift, and he's like, get her off of there. I'm gonna go dig in my neighbor's yard, and I'm gonna piss in it so it turns into mud, and I'm gonna pick up this piss-formed mud, and I'm gonna throw it at their house. I'm gonna commit domestic terrorism because they showed Taylor Swift on my television screen that I paid for, goddammit. Anywho, happy Super Bowl. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Last week, by the way, record low amount of comments. Tied for the lowest amount of comments since I returned to this podcast 8 months ago. So tighten up, or I will be doing a 10-minute rant next episode. That's a third of the episode. Just complaining about that. So make sure you comment. Make sure you like. Thank you so much for watching. Go birds go, or whatever the fuck. Fly birds fly. I don't know. I'm going to forget it a week from now, But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I always appreciate the support. And I will talk to you next week. Okay?